Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stocks All Day with Dr. O'Day. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and please let me know if there's any content that you'd like to see coming up, or if you have any questions about the strategies that I'm currently using. So today's video is going to be kind of an interesting one, for me at least, because January was kind of hard. With the stock market. Stuff plummeted at times, and then we had the GameStop debacle and things like that. And, I found myself I found myself kind of being happy when I broke even in January at least. And that was kind of tough month. Early on in the month, I didn't stick to my strategies as well as I should have. I ended up dropping a couple things a little bit too early just because I got scared out of them instead of letting them stop out. And really what would have happened is they wouldn't have stopped out, and I actually would have gained a decent chunk of money. And so I've learned to really trust my strategies here in January, and I think that's important. It's a good realization that we should all come to. Now, as always, this is my channel. It's just meant to be my $1,000 journey. It's not meant to be actual stock advice. I'm just detailing all of the trades that I've made. And so with that, I've learned a fair amount over the last 3 months. And, with that, I'll kind of transition here to kind of just giving you an idea of where I'm at right now and a few of the trades and strategies that I've been using here recently. So my total return in 3 months now, actually it's 3 months tomorrow is when I started doing this kind of journey, and I've made 64% in 3 months. Now that is using leveraged money, so I'm still leveraging from my own bank account until I double, because you can't leverage, you can't buy on margin unless you have at least $2,000 in your account, and I started with 1,000. I'm currently at 1641. So I'm currently borrowing from my own bank account to fund this. Eventually, though, I'm going to start borrowing from TD Ameritrade, which is where I have all of my money right now, except I do still have some money stuck in Robinhood. The reason that I have that still stuck in Robinhood is actually, one, partly because I want to continue to trade crypto from time to time, and partly because I just can't stay out of the game long enough to let the securities settle. So I'm consistently buying back in as soon as I'm selling, and that's the reason why I follow so many stocks. Is there's always something to buy. There's always something that's about to hit here, and I've had a lot of success with these strategies. So just kind of giving you an idea of the things that I'm currently invested in. So on the 19th, I very well timed Twitter. And that was right after Trump had gotten banned from Twitter. It dropped off, and really, I mean, I didn't put a ton into this because, there could have been an argument that Twitter could have been on a downhill slide without Trump. I know that a lot of Trump supporters were really touting that. However, I didn't expect that this was going to happen, and in fact, in my last video, I showed everyone when we look at Twitter, and let me just go ahead and pull that back up. Let's kind of see where Twitter is sitting right now. This was when, on this day right here, was when Trump got banned from Twitter, and people saw the drop off. It kind of confirmed their beliefs that Twitter was going to fail without Trump. But really, I mean, you look back at these graphs, and over time my graphs have gotten more and more complicated, but we have drawn in these levels of support and resistance where the price tended to bounce downward, and then eventually we came above it, and then we got up to this kind of resistance line right there. The stock dropped off, and it bounced right on these levels of support, like exactly what I would have predicted here. It did break through that support right here, but it's actually stayed in this interesting upward channel that I've drawn in right here over time, where it finally it broke back through that resistance. It became some support. It broke back across that 50-day moving average, which is the green line there, came all the way up to this nice swing high right here. And just like any other stock, when something hits a good swing high, then we're gonna tail back off. And yes, that did happen exactly when Trump got banned from Twitter. But from a stock investing perspective, this was sort of a line that would be a little bit of a, is it going to bounce back up and continue to uptrend, or is it going to drop below this light green line here? And we saw that it dropped below it, but then caught back on to this trend that I had shown. If it didn't catch there, it caught on this great line of support. And just like I predicted on that day when I bought in down here, that thing has gone right back up. And so I am up a killing on this initial investment. So I bought in at 45.75. The current price is 54.75. So if I was to sell today, 54.75, we're talking about a 20% gain on that. Now, I only bought 5 shares. I only put roughly 228 bucks in there. I did buy back in. Actually, I bought some more on the 28th of January, and I've actually made a lot of money on that as well. And the reason that I bought in some more here is because we had crossed over that 50-day moving average, and the MACD had also crossed. So that was, both of those are kind of confirming exactly what I expected was going to happen down here. And so as a result, actually, it looks like we're going to continue our uptrend. And we did just break past this other level of support. Now it's interesting, hopefully we don't bounce back down off of that. But what I would expect is that we're going to push this kind of last swing high right here. And given the trend, I would expect us to kind of finish this swing somewhere up here close to the $60 mark. And so I'm holding. And that's where I'm at with Twitter right now. Dogecoin, I'm excited for what tomorrow brings. Supposedly tomorrow, 2/4, that's when things are going nuts with the Doge. So I'm interested to see if I can make any money there. I'm not planning on making a ton there, but there's an opportunity. We saw GameStop, went up a few 100%, and Dogecoin only costs 4 cents. There are people potentially saying that this thing rushes $1. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but if I can double or triple my money on a small time investment, I've only got 100 or so bucks in this. If I can double or triple that money, that's a good return for me. I'm okay with that. So I'm giving that a shot. Now, I also bought into Paychex, and actually my dad bought into PayC the other day. That was another one that I had kind of called on that, and he decided to buy into that one. So Paychex, we're doing well. We're up about 0.5% I think on that right now. It's not killing it like Twitter, but we're doing okay. Comcast is kind of petering around what I bought it at. I'm hoping that at some point it's going to continue to go up. If it doesn't, I might have to sell. I did just invest in MJ. So I have this app called Stock Signals, or Stocks Signal is what it's called, and there's typos in the app and there's all sorts of stuff, but it's a super expensive app. Like, you got to pay like 50 bucks a month to use their signals, but they do give you some free ones. And interestingly, even though there's typos all over the app and stuff, they've been killing it. And so I bought into this MJ ETF. That's a cannabis ETF. I went ahead and they told me to buy in, and I was just testing this thing out. They said this thing's going from 1986 to 2350. Lo and behold, in one day, went up 18%, exactly almost to 2350. So I'm going to keep following those signals. I'm interested to see what they say, and maybe potentially I'll end up throwing 50 bucks in it. Now, the one thing that's turned me off so far is it says do a trial, which anywhere else that means that you get a free 1-month trial, but they kind of hide that you're actually going to end up paying 50 bucks, and I don't like that. I don't like that they're calling it a trial when it's going to cost you actually more than it would cost you other times. So then I had a little bit extra cash, so I threw into Halliburton, and I bought 2 shares of that. I saw that. Let me show you what I was seeing there. So let's go ahead and throw in HAL. So Halliburton there. Let's take a look at what's happening with Halliburton. And so one thing that I saw was we've been on an uptrend. I have actually started plotting out a 100-day RSI just to kind of make sure that we're on an uptrend in the current, little pattern here. We see that the MACD is below 0. It looks like it's actually trending toward a potential cross. If we actually look at this on the 4-hour interval, we actually see that it already has crossed. And so I've started kind of intermingling the 4-hour intervals here to give me a little bit of an earlier entry into my MACD signals. One thing that I'm really excited about is I've gotten into some pine editing here as well, and basically what I did was I used a previous script that I had kind of nabbed from someone, and then I adjusted it to my own liking. So what I have here is these down arrows are going to be those MACD crosses above 0, kind of signaling that potentially we're going to have a trend reversal. But what I'm really interested in here is these purple lines. So I have it telling me every time that this MACD signal line crosses 0, that's when it starts giving me these purple indicators, and that's telling me that a MACD cross is probably going to come in the near future. So what happens here is once I start seeing these purple arrows showing up, then what I do is I go to this 4-hour interval and I see if things are crossing over, and if they are, well, then that signals to me that it's a potential buy. Now the last thing that I do is I actually pull up the Yahoo Finance app on my phone, and what I look at is I just look for the analyst rating. So I then clicked on Halliburton here, and what I see is that the 26 analyst price targets that they have it set at is that they have an average of 21.97 is what they're projecting this thing at in the next year. And so I take a look at where I'm at. So the price is here, and so I say, okay, I'm going to set my price there. I set my stop loss right below the most recent swing low, and then I set my profit target at 1.5 above that. And so based on my indicators, I'm thinking that we're going to have a swing upward. And I'm hoping that we're going to break back past this little line of resistance there. And then I just kind of glance at Yahoo Finance there just to confirm that my expectations are within their realm over the next few periods. And if they say that, it's actually way overvalued, then I'm like, okay, I don't need to buy in on this particular one. There's always another swing. And so I just look for a few things that are confirming. One, I look for the RSI, the 100 period RSI to be over 50. That means that we've been in an uptrend for at least a while now. The MACD is slowing down, potentially about to cross on the 4-hour time frame. It is crossing, and we're kind of bouncing off levels of support here. Everything to me is saying Halliburton's probably going to go up. It did today as well. It finished at least above the previous day high, and so that to me, all signs are go. So I went ahead and threw $200 into that as well. Now the last strategy that I want to talk to you about is a strategy that I've been using here on Robinhood, and I'll go ahead and pull up my portfolio. I'm not currently in this strategy because ETH is going nuts right now. We're having a lot of growth in ETH, and I require swings in order for this strategy to work. Now, what I've started noticing, let's just take a look at Ethereum here, and let's go back for 1 month, and let's just kind of glance at this price over time. Oh, get out of here. So if we look here, let's go back. If we look here, we can see that the price on any given day is swinging. So here, January 30th, we've got 2 a.m. the price is $13.45. By 2 a.m. the next day, the price is $13.62. And actually what I started to notice is on any given day, we actually end up seeing drops or increases of $100 in any given direction. And it is remarkable how much those swings happen, where we have these big 100-point swings. So what I started doing is just every single day when I wake up, I said this in my last video, but I'm going to confirm it in this one. So the price when I woke up on a given day here, it was $14.06. So I set a limit buy at $13.06. And so I said, okay, if it drops down to $13.06, I'm going to buy in. The next day, the price was at 13.86, and so I set another one. I said if it drops down to 12.86, I'm going to buy in 250 bucks worth each time. The next day, it was at 13.95, so I said, okay, if it drops down to 12.95, I'm buying in. And so I just, every single day, I looked back at the previous 4 days and I put 250 bucks into there. And then once they all bought, I then went back to this one, the highest one, plus 100, and I sold. And I think it's an amazing strategy right now. I mean, it's almost no thought, just every day. What you subtract 100 bucks off the price, put 250 bucks toward a limit buy, and then once a couple of them buy, you go ahead and throw in for $100 gain. And with ETH swinging around as much as it is now, right now it's on a consistent uptrend. We're not seeing any swings in the last day or so. So I went ahead and put that money elsewhere. I put it into ACN instead. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Those are the big moves that I'm making right now. I encourage you all to follow along. As always, this is just for my benefit. It's kind of a fun thing that I like to do here, and I'm seeing if I can make a decent return on these stocks. So with that, please let me know if you have any questions. Hit that like and subscribe, and let me know if you'd like to see any other content coming up.